The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
The Derbyshire Dales series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop located at 20 Ropery Road, Gainsborough, or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Welcome back to the Derbyshire Dales again, everybody, where the rain and sleet and snow or whatever it is that's passing over this area at the moment seems to have stopped for a bit. That means I can walk around this place without any fear of getting completely drenched. Now, this place, don't be surprised if I make a fair few references to the Big Bang Theory in this episode, you know, the American TV sitcom. It's because the village shares its name with one of the main characters. This is Sheldon. Sheldon, flat-topped Heath Hill. Today in the Derbyshire Dales we come to Sheldon, best known for being the closest village to Magpie Mine. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that that's not actually in Sheldon Parish, it's in Ashford in the Water instead, but its presence was a key factor in Sheldon's development. Lead mining flourished around here in the 18th and 19th centuries, and Magpie Mine was built to extract lead, and it did so with an engine house constructed in the Cornish style. It's now a scheduled ancient monument, and it's the most complete example of a lead mine remaining anywhere in the Peak District. Of course, its workers needed a place to live, and this is where they did. Sheldon saw a population boom when Magpie Mine was active, but the village has been here for a lot longer than that. Typical of a White Peak village, Sheldon is ancient, recorded as it was in the Domesday Book. Standing at 1,000 feet above sea level, it mainly comprises of farmhouses and cottages dating from the 18th century, when mining was at its height. One notable Sheldon family are the Brocklehursts, who worked at the mine and commanded responsible positions. They were involved in the rescue operations at the time of the Magpie Mine murders. The village today is much more peaceful and idyllic than its industrial past suggests. It has a wonderful country pub, the Cock and Pullet, built in 1995 to replace the Devonshire Arms. It also has a pretty parish church, St Michael and All Angels, built in 1864 using stone from a demolished Chapel of Ease. Lots to see here then. Let's go. Sheldon has a small population of approximately 80 people. That was according to the 2001 census. Perched high above the River Wye, it's an absolute gem. Surrounded by the stunning White Peak limestone countryside, it's a cluster of characterful stone cottages on a hill, mostly built along one single lane. In the Domesday Book, it was referred to as Sheldhorn. This here is the village hall. Formerly, this is known as the Hartington Memorial Hall. It has a fully fitted kitchen, a main hall with seating and tables ideal for meetings and parties, and it's fully heated throughout. Village resident and author Brian Gresley has written a superb little book about this building. It's entitled This Remote Little School, The Story of Sheldon National School, opened from 1878 to 1935. That should give you a pretty big clue as to its former use. This was a school. The illustrated story is told mainly in the words of those involved. In his book, the teachers, pupils, inspectors and managers tell of the ups and downs of a typical village school in the Derbyshire Dales in the early years of the 20th century. Although still pretty small when compared to other peak villages, Sheldon's population boom came in the lead mining era. Magpie Mine, which is over the border into Ashford in the Water, provided many who lived here with work in the 18th and 19th centuries. An annual event in Sheldon is Sheldon Day. It's sort of like the festival in Chelmorton, and it takes place in July. Down the main village street, cakes, jams and other produce are sold. Cream teas are served in the village hall, and there's a host of other games and stalls. There's also a grand raffle, and as part of the day, 300 tennis balls are released down the village street, and that's known as the Great Ball Run. Sheldon used to have a pub called the Devonshire Arms. When it closed and became a private house, it was for a while a dry village. In 1995, that issue was resolved thanks to the construction of the Cock and Pullet. Even though it looks ancient, this building is only 30 years old. The Cock and Pullet is a traditional dog-friendly village pub, popular with walkers and locals, offering a warm open fire, local ales and good value pub food. There's also a pool table and a dartboard to keep you entertained during your visit. It's just a 2-minute stroll down the road from Town End Holiday Cottage and Keeper's Cottage. It was built by the late David Melland, who was born in the village and had lived here all his life. He worked as a joiner and a builder, and also on his small holding, but he will be best remembered for constructing this pub, bringing a watering hole back to Sheldon after its dry spell. Now, there's a plaque on the wall here which tells you all about Sheldon's village greens. It simply says that Sheldon had a single village street with its stone-built cottages and farms behind a series of linear village greens. The buildings date mainly from the 18th century when lead mining was prosperous in this area. Well, we know that, don't we? Particularly at nearby Magpie Mine. Now, if you need to have a look at Magpie Mine yourself, because you might not be from around here, you need to check out my Ashford in the Water episode, because the way parish boundaries work, the mine is actually within Ashford, not within Sheldon, even though this place was built for the mine. Of course, Magpie Mine is said to be cursed and haunted following the infamous murders in 1833, which we covered in the Ashford episode. To recap, rival miners from Red Soil Mine broke through into the same workings as Magpie in the 1820s. After much fighting, bickering and disputing, matters came to a head when the Red Soil miners set fire to straw 400 feet below the ground. The Magpie miners retaliated by burning straw, sulphur and oil, resulting in the deaths of 3 Red Soil miners. 10 of the Magpie miners were charged with willful murder, but were found not guilty. So if you were to carry on out that way, it would take you towards Ashford in the Water, around the back of Magpie Mine. We are now going up this little footpath. As you can see, it says Sheldon Church is up here on the right hand side, about where that red car is. Let's go and have a little look. When David Mellon died, his funeral took place at Sheldon's Church, dedicated to St Michael and All Angels. This building replaced an earlier church which was dedicated to All Saints, but that was demolished. The original church was said to have had the largest churchyard in England. However, by 1864 it was in such a poor condition that it was unsafe to enter. So up stepped Samuel Rollinson, an architect from Chesterfield, to rebuild it. To build the new church, materials from the old one were reused. It's a neat Gothic edifice comprising a nave, a south porch and an apsidal chancel. It has an unusual rounded east wall and attractive roof timbers. The west gable is surmounted by a small campanule, and inside there's accommodation for 80 people. The foundation stone was laid by Reverend H.K. Cornish, Vicar of Bakewell, on the 31st of May 1864. It was later consecrated on the 7th of October that year by the Bishop of Lichfield. The old church records state that in 1753, a 14-year-old boy and an 80-year-old disabled widow were married in Sheldon. Can you imagine the uproar if that happened today? So it's a one-room building, as you can see, and it's got a curved end. Chancel at the end there's curved. It's quite nice, actually. Loving the roof beams, in fact. Quite a cute little church, this. Let's have a little wander around it and see what's on the walls, because I can see there's a couple of tablets. There's one to the left, just there. We'll check that one out first. See what it is. So this one is a war memorial, and there are 5 names listed on that: John Brocklehurst, Thomas Brocklehurst, Anthony Geit, Alfred Wildgoose, and John Sherwin. There's another tablet at the back, just beyond the pulpit. Here we go. It says, the sanctuary floor is dedicated to the memory of Henry Fairfield Grover, 1923. Let's come around the edge of the chancel. Plenty of stained glass just there. Look, a couple of stained glass windows. A couple of pictures on the wall there. Not quite sure what that one is there, just in front of the organ, but yeah, there's a picture there. There's a tablet at the back. Now this one is right next to the bell rope. I wonder if the bell works. I'll tell you what, let's pull the rope and see. No sound, I'm probably not pulling hard enough, to be fair. Anyway, this tablet says, in memory of Herbert Henry Morton of Sheldon, gentleman who departed this life on the 20th day of January 1900. This tablet is erected by his fellow parishioners, by whom he was held in very high esteem. He generously bequeathed the sum of £200 to provide a recreation ground for the free use of the inhabitants of this parish. Now, that recreation ground is right next door to this church. Let's check it out. Well, considering that guy died in 1900, I reckon this recreation ground probably looks a little bit different now to what it did in his day. As you can see here, it's just basically a field, and you've got a couple of swings, you've got a slide, you've got some picnic benches. You're not allowed to fly kites here, apparently, according to the sign on the gate. Not quite sure why. I mean, to be honest with you, it'd be an ideal place. You're on top of a hill here, but apparently it's not allowed. So there we go. That is the recreation ground. And now it's time to make our way back to the beginning by following this path. It goes round in a loop and comes out close to the Hartington Memorial Hall, and that'll complete the circuit of Sheldon. However, there is one thing I've yet to talk about, and that's the legend of the Sheldon duck. Now, before we leave Sheldon behind, we have to talk about a curious tale in its history. No, I'm not talking about the Magpie Mine murders. This is much older. This is the legend of the Sheldon duck. In 1601, a duck was seen by a local resident flying into a hollow tree, but it never came out again. The tree gained a name from then on. It was simply known as the duck tree. 300 years later, when the tree was felled and sawn into planks, each plank contained the life-sized outline of a duck. The wood was reputedly used to make a mantelpiece for Great Batch Hall in Ashford. The duck-like pattern had markings of its brain and lungs, and these could clearly be seen in the resultant timber boards that were made after the tree was chopped down. Before the boards were used to make the mantelpiece, they were on display in Ashford-in-the-Water post office for a while, and postcards showing it were sold from there. So that's Sheldon, folks, and how about that for a folklore tale? The Sheldon duck. I reckon it's absolutely quackers. I'll see myself out. See you tomorrow, where we'll be in a village famed for its many ash trees. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.